You know, people always talk about the big moment, that single opportunity that changes everything. But the truth is, nobody sees the tiny choices, the daily habits, the quiet little promises you make to yourself when nobody's watching. Those are the things that reshape your entire future. And honestly, most transformation doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like showing up for yourself over and over, even when you'd rather hit snooze or scroll endlessly on your phone. So today, I want to share 7 daily habits that can genuinely change your life. They changed mine, not because they're perfect or pretty, but because they're real. Small daily habits shape your long-term future far more than big dramatic events. And the funny thing is, most people never realize it until they've lived it. We grow up hearing about success as if it's one big magical turning point, a breakthrough role, a sudden opportunity, a life-changing moment that appears out of nowhere. But real transformation doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like tiny sparks, the kind you barely notice until they've already lit up your entire world. The truth is, your future is being built in the quiet moments you think don't matter. The 5 minutes you decide to focus instead of scroll, the meal you make instead of skipping, the early bedtime you choose instead of staying up to please someone else. The smallest decisions, repeated over and over, become the architecture of your life. There's something incredibly empowering about that realization. If your future depends on small habits, then it's not about being lucky or being chosen or waiting for someone to hand you an opportunity. It's about building the kind of person who's ready when opportunities show up. And that part is completely in your hands. Big achievements are really just the final chapter of a story that started with small daily choices. The gritty, unglamorous ones. The ones nobody applauds. The ones you commit to when it's early and you're tired and you'd rather do anything else. Think about it. Discipline isn't formed by running a marathon. It's formed by the days you lace up your shoes when you don't want to. Confidence doesn't appear because someone compliments you. It grows from the nights you sit with your insecurities and decide to believe in yourself anyway. Success doesn't come from one huge leap. It comes from the tiny steps you force yourself to take even when the ground feels shaky. Those little habits, the ones that feel almost too small to matter, eventually stack up into something unshakable. And what makes small habits so powerful is how they sneak into who you are. They don't just change what you do, they change how you think. When you choose one small habit, like starting your mornings intentionally instead of in chaos, you learn that you're capable of creating structure. When you practice a habit like reading a few pages a day, you start seeing yourself as someone who values growth. When you commit to a single daily win, just one, you start believing you're someone who can follow through. These tiny decisions rewrite the story you tell about yourself, and once your self-story changes, your entire future follows. Small habits also give you momentum, and momentum is everything. Anyone can be motivated for a day. It's what you do on the days you don't feel motivated that separates who you are from who you want to become. A little habit, repeated daily, builds momentum, even when your energy is low. It keeps you moving. It keeps your future open. Motivation fades, but momentum carries you. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to avoid stopping. But maybe the most beautiful part of small habits is that they're accessible. You don't need a huge budget, a life makeover, or permission from anyone. You don't need a perfect plan or the right timing. You only need to start right where you are with what you have. The most life-changing habits usually take less than 10 minutes. They're not dramatic, and that's exactly why they work. They're sustainable. They don't burn you out. They don't rely on adrenaline. They slowly, quietly create a stronger, smarter, kinder version of you. And what's really wild is that when these tiny habits compound, they change the way people see you. Suddenly you're the one who seems disciplined, confident, intentional, but you know the truth. You didn't wake up one day transformed. You built yourself one small choice at a time. And someday when someone asks how your life changed so dramatically, you'll smile because you know the secret isn't dramatic at all. It's simple, it's steady, it's everyday. Your future is shaped in the small moments, the ones you think no one sees, because the person you're becoming is built one day, one habit, one quiet decision at a time. Doing one thing each day that scares you, even just a little, is one of the most powerful ways to grow because it pushes you into the parts of yourself you haven't met yet. Fear isn't always a dramatic moment or a life or death feeling. Most of the time, it's subtle, a tightness in your chest before you speak your mind, the hesitation before you try something new, the instinct to stay comfortable rather than stretch. And that's exactly why facing it daily matters. Those tiny moments where you feel nervous, unsure, or exposed are actually invitations to meet a stronger version of yourself. Every time you step toward that feeling instead of away from it, you train your mind to trust your courage more than your doubt. When people talk about bravery, they imagine huge acts, quitting a job, moving across the country, leaping into a major opportunity. But the truth is, courage is built long before the big leap ever happens. It's built in the everyday moments no one notices. Sending the email you're scared to send, walking into a room where you feel out of place, choosing honesty when silence feels safer. These tiny acts of bravery create a pattern in your life. The more often you lean into discomfort, the more you realize fear isn't a barrier. It's a direction. It's a sign that something on the other side has the potential to change you. Doing one scary thing a day doesn't mean you live in chaos. It means you stop letting fear pretend it's protecting you when really it's just holding you back. Fear is sneaky. It disguises itself as caution. Comfort, I'll try later, or I'm not ready yet. And if you let it, it will shrink your world one quiet day at a time. But when you choose even one small action that challenges it, you begin to take your power back. You learn that fear is not the enemy, staying stuck is. There's also something incredibly liberating about surprising yourself. When you do something you were sure you couldn't, something shifts inside you. Your self-image expands. You start thinking, if I handled that, maybe I can handle more. Suddenly, the things that used to intimidate you don't feel impossible anymore. What once made your voice shake becomes something you do without thinking. And that transformation doesn't happen in one huge breakthrough. It happens in dozens of tiny daily choices that slowly rewire the way you see yourself. Some of the most meaningful growth comes from emotional bravery, the kind you can't see from the outside, being vulnerable, speaking up, admitting you want more, setting boundaries even when it feels uncomfortable, telling someone how you really feel, choosing to stop apologizing for things that aren't your fault. These moments are small, but they're powerful. They're the ones that create actual change, both inside you and around you. When you're brave enough to be honest, really honest, with yourself and others, you build deeper connections, stronger confidence, and clearer purpose. And the beautiful thing is, courage is contagious. Once you start making small, brave choices, your life begins to shift. People respond differently to you. Opportunities find you more easily because you radiate a willingness to try, to learn, to show up even if you're shaky. You stop waiting for the right moment because you realize the right moment is any moment where you decide to move. You start trusting that even if things don't go perfectly, you'll figure it out because you've proven to yourself one day at a time that you can. Courage becomes a habit instead of a rare event. Eventually, Doing one thing a day that scares you becomes less about fear and more about curiosity. Instead of asking, what if I fail? You start asking, what might happen if I don't hold myself back this time? You become more open, more alive, more willing to experience life fully instead of safely. Growth stops being something you chase and becomes something you create. And that's the most empowering part. You realize your future doesn't depend on avoiding fear, but on learning to walk through it gracefully, steadily, and consistently. One small act of courage every day builds a life that feels bigger, deeper, and more authentic. It builds a version of you that isn't ruled by fear, but guided by possibility. And even though the world might only notice the big moments, the accomplishments, the milestones, the wow achievements, you will know the truth. Your strength wasn't born in one dramatic leap. It was built one brave step at a time. Practicing the art of showing up is one of the most underrated yet life-altering habits you can build. People get so caught up imagining the perfect version of themselves, the ideal morning routine, the flawless work ethic, the unstoppable momentum, that they forget something simple. None of that matters if you don't show up. Dreams don't grow because you planned perfectly. They grow because you kept going even when your energy was low or your confidence was shaky. Showing up isn't about being the best. It's about being present, being committed, and being willing to try again today, even if yesterday wasn't perfect. There's a quiet kind of strength in consistency. It doesn't scream for attention or beg for validation. It's the strength of someone who keeps going when the excitement wears off. Anyone can be motivated for a week. Anyone can chase a goal when it feels shiny. But the people who truly change their futures are the ones who show up on the ordinary days. The days when they feel tired, overwhelmed, uninspired, or unsure of themselves. Those are the days that define you, because those are the days when discipline steps in to protect the dreams that motivation can't carry. Showing up doesn't mean giving 100% every single time. That's a myth that burns people out. Some days you'll feel unstoppable and give everything you have. Other days, you'll have maybe 30% in you. But if you give that 30%, you're still moving forward. Progress isn't measured in how dramatic your effort looks. It's measured in the fact that you didn't quit. Progress can be messy, uneven, and slow, but it's real. And the more you embrace imperfect effort, the more sustainable your journey becomes. Showing up for yourself means honoring the promises you make to your own future. When you keep a commitment to yourself, even a tiny one, you build trust in who you are. Think about that every time you follow through. You're proving to yourself that your words matter, your effort matters, and your growth matters. Over time, this self-trust becomes powerful. It becomes the reason you stop doubting your ability to change. You're no longer someone who says, I'll try someday. You become someone who says, I may not feel ready, but I'm here anyway. One of the biggest obstacles to showing up is perfectionism. People hesitate to start because they're afraid of doing things wrong or doing them badly or not doing them the right way. But perfection kills more dreams than failure ever has. You don't need perfect conditions, perfect timing, or perfect skills. You simply need the willingness to begin and the courage to continue even when you're not perfect. Showing up is an act of rebellion against the idea that you must be flawless to deserve progress. It's also important to remember that showing up isn't always external. It's not just about the work you do or the goals you chase. Sometimes showing up means being emotionally present with yourself, acknowledging your feelings, taking care of your mental health, and letting yourself rest when your body asks for it. Some days showing up means pushing forward. Other days it means giving yourself grace. Both are valid. Both are necessary. Burnout doesn't make you stronger. Balance does. Another beautiful part of showing up is how it teaches you resilience. When you experience setbacks showing up gives you the ability to stand back up. You stop seeing obstacles as stop signs and start viewing them as detours. Instead of thinking, this is too hard, you start thinking, this is inconvenient, but I can still move. You become less afraid of failure because you've trained yourself to keep going regardless of what happens. And here's the magical part. When you show up consistently, the world eventually responds. Opportunities find you because you're already in motion. People trust you because they see your reliability. Your skills sharpen because you keep practicing. Your confidence grows because you've built a history of following through. Showing up transforms your goals from distant dreams into inevitable outcomes. In the end, the art of showing up isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. It's the quiet engine behind every success story. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to keep showing up, tired, imperfect, unsure, but present, because your future doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency. And every day you show up, you're proving that you're someone your future can rely on. Protecting your energy like it's gold is one of the most transformative habits you can build, because your energy is the fuel behind every thought you think, every decision you make, and every dream you chase. People often treat energy like it's unlimited, like they can give it away freely, say yes to everyone, absorb every emotion around them, and somehow still have enough left over for themselves. But the truth is, your energy is one of the most precious things you possess. When it's drained, everything becomes heavier. When it's protected, everything becomes possible. Most of us aren't taught how to guard our energy. We're taught to be polite, agreeable, accommodating, easy to access, always available, but a life built around pleasing everyone else eventually leaves you depleted and disconnected from yourself. Protecting your energy means understanding that your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being are not optional. They're essential. You can't build your future, pursue your goals, or show up as your best self if you're constantly drained by things that don't align with who you are. One of the first steps in protecting your energy is learning to say no, even when it feels uncomfortable. No is not a rejection, it's a boundary. It's an act of self-respect. It means you value your time and your peace enough to guard them. When you say no to things that drain you, you're actually saying yes to yourself, yes to your growth, your rest, your creativity, and your mental clarity. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every request deserves your time. Not every person deserves direct access to your inner world. And that's not selfish, that's healthy. Protecting your energy also means becoming more intentional about the people you keep close. Some people lift you up, inspire you, make you feel calm, or help you become better. Others leave you feeling anxious, exhausted, or smaller than before. Pay attention to the difference. You don't have to cut people out dramatically, but you can shift your distance, limit your exposure, and choose where your heart goes. Your environment influences your energy more than you realize. Being around the right people feels like charging a battery, and being around the wrong ones feels like draining one. Another powerful part of protecting your energy is learning to listen to your body and your intuition. Your body often tells the truth long before your mind does. That tight A feeling in your chest when something feels wrong, pay attention. That exhaustion after spending time with someone, pay attention. That sense of calm around certain people or places, pay attention. Your intuition isn't random, it's your inner compass. When you trust it, you stop forcing yourself into situations that suck the life out of you. Protecting your energy also means giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. Rest is not laziness, it's maintenance. Just like your phone needs to recharge, so do you. And unlike your phone, you can't replace your battery. When you allow yourself to pause, breathe, and slow down, you're not falling behind. You're preparing for the next chapter with more clarity and strength. Overworking yourself might give you short-term results, but protecting your energy gives you long-term sustainability. It's also important to be mindful of what you consume, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. The shows you watch, the conversations you have, the accounts you follow, the thoughts you repeat to yourself, these all shape your energy. Protecting it means choosing things that nourish you instead of draining you. It's okay to unfollow accounts that make you compare yourself, to step back from constant negativity, to pause news cycles that overwhelm you, and to surround yourself with inspiration instead of pressure. Finally, protecting your energy means being honest about what you can handle and what you can't. You don't have to be everything for everyone. You don't have to carry burdens that aren't yours. You don't have to perform strength when you're tired. Permission to prioritize yourself is not something someone else gives you. It's something you give yourself. And once you do, everything begins to shift. You become more grounded, more focused, more creative, and more aligned with your true direction. When you treat your energy like gold, you start using it wisely. You invest it where it matters. You guard it from what drains you, and you trust yourself with it fully. And little by little, your life begins to reflect that protection. You feel lighter, you think clearer, you grow faster, you attract better. Because when your energy is strong, everything you touch becomes stronger too.